Acknowledge me, the one.
Oh, shit. Okay, I've been muted that entire time. Well, let's just say, welcome, Kayla.
Hello, Scoops. Thanks for having me again.
No worries. I know people are going to be laughing at that intro because I was talking to myself. Hey, at least the picture was on. But basically what I was saying was, unless you're a good lip reader, I was saying it is me, Scoops, the sole admin of Scoops, but I'm not here on my own this evening. I'm back where we were last week with Kayla. Welcome again. So Brisbane supported Kayla. So that means let's right off the top, just briefly, not in full detail, but Brisbane, you got the chocolates. Is that all that matters against Essendon?
Look, technically, yes, because that's one step closer of getting in the finals, but we should have probably won by a lot more than what we did.
Yes, very true. But I'm up and about, Kayla. We beat Melbourne. You remember the same team and fan base that said they were back? And I told people even last week and the week prior when they beat your mob to cool their expectations. Like, yes, it was a great win against you guys, and it was great against Sydney. But people don't rate Sydney at the moment. I personally do. Not after this weekend. I don't now. But prior to that, people were saying, that Melbourne are back. And we just sent them straight back down to earth a little bit, Kayla, and got the chocolates, and it was a great win. And we'll go through both our teams' victories. Probably we're feeling both a little bit different about our victories. I'm up and about. You're like, let's just kind of forget about it. That's what I take from it, Kayla.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. So on the show today, we're going to go through the world-famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang, with a bit of a twist with Kayla's input, obviously, as well. Going to go through my team of the week, or we will go through our team of the week. I review the rounds that's gone and upcoming. I'm going to mention my Supercoach Talk, which I forgot to mention last week, Kayla. I went up the rankings last week. For people that don't know, I went from the top 8% back up to where I belong, the top 6%. And this round, I'm going to mention this off the top because I know if I don't mention this now, I'm going to forget again, especially when we've got a lot of things to talk about. So my Supercoach score for this round was 1,837. 1837. So in a bye week, it's a pretty solid score, Kayla, I would say, considering there's a top 18. So that's a decent score. It was in the top 8% for the round. I'm still top 5% now overall. Now, I was telling you off camera, Kayla, a lot of people do know and are fully aware that I won the weekly prize only 2 or 3 seasons ago in round 5. So it's around that point in time where the scores go well.
Yeah.
Now, there's one few things I want to mention on my Supercoach for people listening. Key advice here, no matter who you trade in the coming weeks, unless they were the team that had the bye, no matter who you bring in that don't have a bye this week, that haven't had one, they're going to have one still the next 3 weeks. So choose wisely, look at the weekly rounds of who's got the byes in what round, and make sure you don't overstock with players in teams that have byes in the same weeks. Because if you have one bad week, that's your season shot if it's not shot already. So key advice there. And make sure you cash in on some of the players that you need, like some of the rookies. If they're at that 3rd game now, you got to bring them in now. If there's underperforming premiums and they're dropping 50K like Ryan Marek, get rid of them now, or you're going to be stuck with them the whole season, realistically. So key advice there. So that's my Supercoach score for this round and update. All right, Kayla, let's start off with that world-famous segment. It's going to be a fiery one. I haven't even told you what it is, so you're just going to all know just like that. It's the world-famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Oh, Kayla. Well, another week, another round, and it's one of the most watched segments of this show's history in the 4 years of existence of this show. And when I always pump up a Scoops Goes Bang, Kayla, and say it's going to be a massive one, it will be a massive one. Now, it involves my Saints and Melbourne from the weekend. Aidan Johnson, so first off, we got involved in him, Max Gawn, Harrison Petty, and who's the 4th one? Kosi Pickett, of course. Right. So first I'll start off with the biggest one of the lot, Aidan Johnson. Now, there's a thing called be tough on the football field, right? and actually play the game well. I don't know what he was doing. Now, there's probably a reason why he's already been suspended once in his career, and he's played like 4 games. And he only got given 2 weeks for a dirty, intentional hit to the face of Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira. Now, it doesn't matter what team does it and who it's to, it's the action. The AFL say they want to stamp out these type of actions, okay? So this was classed as high contact, high impact, and careless conduct. I don't see anything careless in that. That is an intentional act. So if that was intentional, that would be graded more than what it was given as 2. Now, separate to the actual suspension aside for just a second, the action itself, whatever you grade it, is a dirty act, and it's something they should be stamping out. They say the head is sacrosanct, or whatever the word is. I don't know what the word is, but very important, clearly, right? So they want to stamp out dirty plays and hits to the head and everything like that. So what are they showing by this? This is an intentional act that is very dirty. And it got me really pissed off when it happened. Not because it was to a Saints player, because of the action. He didn't have any eyes on the ball. Malira was running straight forward for the ball. Johnson's came from the side, jumped off the ground for no reason, and elbowed him straight in the face on purpose. Now, the AFL should not be waiting for the outcome to suspend a player or give them a long suspension. If you intentionally hit someone like that, you should get a massive punishment. Now, Connor Nash got 4 weeks for the hit on Brian Mice, I think it was from Geelong. And there have been other incidents this year, like Alex Pearce hit a Port player, I think it was Lockie Jones, in the face and got cleared after getting 3 weeks originally, and then went to the tribunal and got off. This one is far worse than anything I've just mentioned, and probably most acts this year. This was intentional. He lined him up from a mile away and cleaned him up. And this is the type of incidents they want to stamp out, yet they're giving him the bare minimal punishment. 2 weeks is not enough. Let's just say, if Aidan Johnson continues to do this, he will have been suspended more in his career than he's had AFL games. So he's been suspended twice now in like four games in his career, and the amount of weeks he's been suspended for almost reaches as much as the games he's played. And if he keeps that up, he won't add to his career tally in AFL. He'll be stuck playing VFL for the rest of the year when he comes back in, and then he'll end up being cut and be playing VFL again, just like previous to this season. Dirty, dirty act, and they're the ones that are staring. That really pissed me off for the way that happened. Now, Kayla, what do you think about that incident alone? Obviously, an elbow, jumped off the ground, dirty hit, lined him up from a mile away, had no intention of going for the ball. What do you take on that?
Yeah, definitely cannot not get out of the suspension. He deserves the suspension. I mean, there is quite a few suspensions out there that they didn't deserve it, but yeah, he probably definitely deserves more.
Yeah, I mean, 2 doesn't sound fair. Yes, people say, oh, well, he got 2 weeks. Why aren't you happy? Well, no, like you said, there's been incidences this year that are accidental or a perfect tackles like Paul Curtis for North when he got 3 weeks. It just doesn't sit right. This guy lined him up from a mile away, elbowed him in the face on purpose, and he gets less than the guy that done a good tackle like Paul Curtis, or some other instances that we brought up, and just some that you can look up yourself. It just doesn't sit right with me. Not because it's a Saints player, but it's just a dirty, dirty hit that deserved more than 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Kosi Pickett. Again, you can have the talent, you can have all the talent in the world, but it seems to be when he's not having a good game, he's hitting people. And he copped a tag for one of the first times in his career, and he's just shown he can't handle the tag. Marcus Windhager, which we'll get to in the preview, destroyed Kosi Pickett on the field. And what does he do to try and make an impact in the game? The worst way possible. Punching a guy in the gut with his back turned, and we're talking about weak and coward hits. That is really weak. It's not tough. It's not cool. It's not funny. It's just actions that the AFL once said they wanted to stamp out of the game. But now they're gone back to when they originally started suspending people for this for a week. Then now they're back to fining people or letting them off the hook. What does it have to take for these type of acts for them suspended? No one should be allowed to punch anyone anywhere and in the gut or anywhere and get away with it. Like, this wasn't one of those jumper pulls, little nudges, and they staged for a free kick or whatever. This was a legitimate punch to the gut, a swing arm, and he's got a track record, by the way, of hitting people like this before. So, more the reason to suspend him. Just because he can't break a tag and can't handle it. Now, every club, well, maybe not every club, a lot of clubs now are going to see this from Marcus Winager, and he destroyed Pickett, and he played him off his game and got him angry, and he's given away free kicks. This also now should have been 4. No. 1 or 2 this should have been for 2 reasons. 1, you should get a week for doing that period because I don't see how it's tough at all. And 2, his track record of being suspended in general. He's also a player that's always suspended for not only punches to the gut, but he's done what Aidan Johnson's done in the past from the weekend. So he's got a track record of being suspended since he started his career. So why is he getting let off the hook? I don't like this either. This should have been 1 or 2, Cal. What do you think about gut punches in general, and especially a guy like Pickett who's got a history of having acts like this and general suspensions?
See, gut punches, I just don't agree with. They definitely should be getting suspended for it, regardless who it is. Even if they don't even have a track record with being suspended, I feel like they should make it all fair and suspend everyone, not just certain people. And it's same as like all the other dirty things some of the players do and they get away with. Like,
Does it get to a point where sometimes, and I've always thought this with any type of suspensions, Kayla, that depending on your name and the club you play for, you are graded differently? The AFL won't tell you this, never. But do you feel like they do grade people differently going off their name and the club they represent?
Oh, 100%. There's certain times where there's certain players that get away with so much because of who they play for or their name. And it's not fair. Regardless who they are and who they play for, everyone should be getting treated equally.
Correct. I mean, perfect example. I don't have nothing against Paddy Cripps, but that Brownlow who won from the suspension one that got let off or something like that was against Brisbane, Kayla, I think. I don't know if we mentioned this on camera last week, but he was very lucky, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was not right at all. Not right at all.
No, and then there's Patrick Dangerfield. I think there was an incident last year. I know he wasn't in Brownlow contention, but it's the fact of it's his name, and he's not getting suspended. And that's another one. If you're in a Brownlow contention, you don't get suspended unless you're a player that the AFL don't like. You get suspended, or if they like you, you don't. Especially once in contention. It's just frustrating. Like, people going, "Oh, you're exaggerating over one player. Pickett's not winning the Brownlow anyway." But that doesn't matter. It's not just a Brownlow thing. It's your name and your club, and get you off. Most of the 99% of the time, it gets you off, and it's just frustrating. And I guarantee you, if this was a fringe player from a club they don't care about, they'd be making the stand on this player, though, don't you think? Like, if that was some random player, a fringe player, or a club player they don't like, that done that in what Pickett did on the weekend, for example, you probably get punished for it.
Oh, 100%. And especially if it was a non-Victorian team as well, they'd get worse than what like the Victorian teams get. Like, a lot of the Victorian teams get favoured big time over the non-Victorian teams.
Sure. Now, that definitely does happen in some cases. Now, Harrison Petty, he had a dangerous tackle on Cal Wilkie. Now, again, this people go, "Oh, here we go, another Saints one." There was 4 instances, so this is the third of the fourth of the 4. Now, this one, I mean, they've been a bit all over the place in terms of suspension. Now, we talk about, how people have been taught how to tackle. Like, I'm not saying he did this one on purpose, but it's the action that deserves the suspension. He pinned Cal Wilkie's hand, so he can't, break it. His hands are pinned, and he slammed him into the ground and hit his fat head on the ground. Now, he wasn't concussed, but so many times the AFL an outcome basis suspension. They'll say, if he's concussed, you're gone. If he's not concussed on this, generally you're okay. So why do they wait for players to get concussed to start suspending players for the same action scale, especially when it's the same thing? Now, this is just a generic tackle where they pin the arms and they slam their head into the ground. So I guarantee if he was concussed, he's getting a week. So why do they have to wait for someone to be concussed or severely injured to then suspend someone? Do it now. Stop waiting for the outcome to be a concussion.
Yep, no, I agree.
And this one's a bit, how do you do? This could go either way as well. Now, Max Gawn, not a dirty player or anything at all, but this individual incident I thought was a bit lucky. Now, I don't know how, he must be he's clearly a strong guy to be able to lift Rowan Marshall, but he picked Rowan Marshall up and kind of picked him up a little bit, probably maybe chest height or something, picked him up and just threw him basically over his head. Don't think he landed on his head, he landed on his back. But that was the action was so dangerous. Like, again, an outcome-based thing. Now, this one, if he got a week, I'm not complaining. He didn't get graded, which is what's disappointing, because I feel like probably should have got a fine at least, because, again, who are we talking about? We're talking about the captain of Melbourne, one of the AFL's favourite players. He ain't getting suspended. Now, it's one of those awkward ones, right? Again, a very dangerous action. And they've suspended players. This is what I mean. They suspended players for doing similar things. This is why it annoys me. If they did it for everyone the same way, whether they all got suspended or all didn't for certain actions, then I'll be like, okay, at least you're consistent. But it's all over the place. It's a hit and miss system. It's like roll the dice, and if it rolls on the number, then you don't get suspended, or you do. It's just a Russian roulette system, or whatever they call it, with the suspensions. 1 week they are, and 1 week they're not.
Yeah, it's true.
Very interesting, but in particular, though, going back to sum this segment up, to Kosi Pickett and to Aidan Johnson, in particular Aidan Johnson, mate, your career in the AFL is going to be over if you keep on doing this stuff, because you're going to be suspended for more weeks than you've played games. Lift your game is pathetic. It still, Caleb, pisses me off. That one's really pissed me off, because he elbowed him in the face, to summarise it, on purpose, in the head. What happens if something serious could come or something like that? Like, it wasn't an accident. He's lined him up. And I just don't know how that's 2 weeks. And this reference, I'll always reference it for release this year, Kayla. Paul Curtis, if you remember that North Melbourne game where he perfectly run down, tackled a Port player, got 3 weeks for a perfect run down tackle. Didn't even get a free, by the way, got against him, and then get suspended. It just doesn't make sense. Oh, and by the way, just to summarize, actually, let's go back to it for just a second. To summarize that, the inconsistencies of the AFL, Kayla. Dane Johnson, intentional elbow to the face, Kayla, to summarize the umpiring this year, was not even a free kick. Elbowed him in the face, lined him up, off the ball incident, well, not off the ball incident, but like, not, when they take your eye off the ball type thing, wasn't a free. So he's got suspended, and rightfully so. We didn't get a free. So that shows how shit umpiring is lately as well. And what made it worse, the umpire was right in front of it and just didn't give a free. God. That's the world famous segment. Scoops is being, it's world famous for a reason. But yeah, so all right, now let's move on to my heavily debated round 12 AFL team of the week. All right, Kayla, now you've had a little sneak preview to this. Are you happy? You want to have a little tease to everyone before I read out the names? Are you a bit happy with it? How do you do with some? How are you with some of it?
I'm happy that there's one person in particular that finally is being recognised for his effort.
Not by me, by other people. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, because he is very much, like, he's normally not on anything and he deserves it. So I'm happy that, and this is me not being biased, but I'm happy.
That's good. I'm glad you're happy, because that's good. Right. From the back line, the pockets, Ruben Jimby and Jordan Clark. Full back, Callum Wilkie. Half back line, the flankers, Liam Baker and Lockie Ash. Centre half back, Mark Keane. Keen choice there. Wingers, sorry. Hugh McCluggage and Nick Martin. Yes.
Finally.
Centreman. Yeah, finally, indeed. Not by me, though. Centreman, Noah Anderson. Half forward line, the flankers, Jack Ginnivan and Jamie Elliott. Centre half forward, Oscar Allen Forward pockets, Butler. Dan Butler. Welcome back, Dan. The pocket, Brody Myercheck. Full forward, Isaac Keeler. Ruck, Luke Jackson. Rovers, Marcus Winhager, who owns Kosi Pickett, literally. And Tion Prestia. The interchange, Steel Sidebottom, Brian Myers, Noah Answorth, Will Ashcroft, back-to-back, and Andy Brayshaw. The emergencies, Ned Long, Tom Green, Nick Dacos, and Bailey Smith. Now, let's put the banner up for everybody to see here. Now, some reasons for these selections, but before I do that, Kayla, 3 Lions make the cut this week in McCluggage, Will Ashcroft, and Noah Answorth. That's back-to-back weeks for Noah Answorth.
He deserved it, though. He had a really good game. Same as Huey. He had a good game as well. And Ashy. All three of them deserved it.
No, definitely for sure. In the form, though, of Noah Answorth, kicked his first goal, I believe, in a year or something like that. I know he's a batsman, so it's a rare thing, but you must be pretty happy to see a defender kick a goal.
Yeah,
and a good goal, an important one.
Yeah, as soon as we were up in the boxes and as soon as we saw it, we were all screaming for him because, we just couldn't believe it. And just the fact that a few of our boys just got around him and just were so excited for him. It was just great to see him kick his first goal in a while.
For sure. Now, I'm going to go through some reasonings because, Kayla, as you know, any team of the week is heavily debated. Hence, I said it before. So I am going to give reasons because let's just say, Kayla, we were talking off camera about one particular player that people are probably going to be looking at the screen going, are you kidding me? Oh, you hate Geelong because this is why you're not including him. Well, let me talk to you and tell you why. Right. So his opponent in Ruben Jimby. Now, Ruben Jimby was fantastic. He's a great young player for the Eagles. He's in his 3rd year now, like Filippo from Saints, and he's doing really well for himself. It's not his disposals, so I'm not even going to mention his disposals, but what he did on Jeremy Cameron was fantastic. Who, at the end of the day, Kayla, a player playing on a key forward, their job really is to negate their role, right? And to stop them from scoring goals and having zero impact in the game. So I feel like that Jimby did that really well. Jeremy Cameron was on 1 goal and 6 disposals at 3/4 time. Granted, finished with 5 and 14 disposals to kick 4 and 8 disposals in the last quarter. But 2 of those goals were on Harry Edwards, and 4 of those 5 goals he got were literally in the last 5 minutes when the game was over. So, with this selection, Kayla, what side of the fence are you on with this one? A guy who's a young player who keeps at this time, the current leading goal getter in the competition to 1 goal for 3/4 and 20 minutes, essentially. Then your opponent kicks 2 cheap goals on someone else while you're off the ground or away from the pack, and then kick 2 on him when the game's over. Granted, 5 goals is 5 goals, but where are you with this one? Because this one I've been debating all last night with some people, and it's a really line ball one. Where are you with this?
Probably, more on your side with the Ruben pick. Just because, he just didn't play very well. He didn't play very well up until 3/4 time, and then finally kicked goals. So, yeah.
I mean, and the way I see it, I couldn't put him both because then it kind of defeats the purpose of putting one in over the other, right? Because then you're putting them both in. It's they played on each other, so they kind of necessarily. In a way, you can say they were both good, but Jimby was good for 3.5 quarters. Cameron was good for 5 minutes. Yes, he got 4 goals in 5-6 minutes, which is great, but did nothing for the rest. If he was serviceable for the whole game and then did that, then he'd be in. But he was non-existent for 3.5 quarters and then got 4 goals in the last 6 minutes when the margin was out of reach. So that's why Jimby stayed in. And like I said, Harry Edwards was on him for 2 of those goals. So there we go. So that's Ruben Jimby, and that debate is over. Jordan Clark was really good for the Dockers in their hard-fought win in the wet. He had 30 disposals, Jordan Clark, and with high efficiency, I think it was in the 80% range, Caleb, which is very impressive in the wet, and in which I'm sure that ground was very wet on the weekend. Now, my man Cal Wilkie, who's on the poster, you can't see it, but that photo of him on the screen, he's also holding a little photo, Kayla. which you can't see. It's a photo of a goat because he had a goat-like level performance on the weekend. For a key defender, Kayla, 31 disposals, like 15 intercept possessions, like 14 marks. I mean, is this the best individual performance for a key defender this year?
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty damn impressive, that's for sure. Now, Liam Baker, he was really good for the Eagles. What a great pickup he's been from Richmond. Obviously, two sides in a rebuild phase, but Liam Baker's fitted in seamlessly there at the Eagles. And I mean, I've always rated Liam Baker as a player at Richmond. I thought he was solid, but I think he's upped his game a little bit. The pressure's kind of got to him a little bit, I feel like, in the first few rounds. But again, new team, sometimes it takes a while, they say. And he's just risen his game up even more, I feel like, to the point of, like, he's always been solid, but, like, his impact has been heavily noticeable at West Coast, maybe because they got not as many good players around him and he's a standout player now. But that's more pressure, I feel like. And he's been really good this year, but this week alone, 29 disposals, like 80-something% efficiency, like 9 intercept possessions. He absolutely deserved it, and he set up a lot of their chains that led to their goals. And now, I talk about Cal Wilkie having the best individual key defender performance of the year. Mark Keene's performance was not far behind his, but absolutely deserves a spot this week. 24 disposals, Kayla, for a key defender, like 15 intercept possessions as well. I mean, these are numbers that key defenders may never get, and these two have pulled that off a few times this year.
Yeah, no, that's incredible.
And Lockie Ash, well, granted, he had a lot of the kickouts. He did have 36 disposals at high efficiency, and he was good for the Giants. Hugh McCluggage, 41 disposals, Kayla, like 12 clearances, as you said before. One of the best individual games for a midfielder this year.
Yep. No, he's been amazing for us. He's very underrated, and he definitely should be in the Brownlow contender. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. He might.
Season.
He definitely has, and the question is, the problem always is with players like you and any player at Brisbane or clubs with a few good midfielders, like Neil might steal votes, Dunkley will steal games, and there's a game where Hipwood might kick 5 and is going to steal votes off, so it's always a hard one for Brisbane players in particular. They can still win it, but it makes it harder when they steal votes off each other. Now, Noah Anderson had 36 disposals. I don't even need to say anymore. He had 12 clearances and had like 20 contested possessions. Nick Martin kicked 2 goals and 28 for Essendon. And I'm sure, Kayla, he would have been one against your mob that you were a bit worried about, because he was definitely one for Essendon that was keeping them in it. And his kicking this year has risen up to another level.
Yeah, he did great. We were all getting very scared every time he had the ball. That's for sure.
I believe he got the first goal of the game on the top of my head as well. So he's obviously shown he can play. Jack Ginnivan, I mean, credit where credit's due, 3 goals and 31 disposals for a half forward. That, again, for a half forward, that is numbers that you don't see very rarely, if at all.
Yeah. And Nick Martin didn't actually get the first goal. It was Charlie Cameron and then Nick Martin.
Oh, first Essendon goal, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Charlie had to bring the country roads back.
Did he?
And
he had, yeah. You haven't heard it much this year now, have you?
No, but it lit up the Gabba.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Take me home, they say. Oscar Allen, 4 goals, 10 disposals. So, I mean, his impact in that first half is why West Coast came back. So, I feel like he was credited there with a spot. Jamie Elliott kicked 5, and, I mean, the game changer for the Collingwood Hawks clash. And, I mean, there was a fair few star performances, but none better than Jamie Elliott for that game. Dan Butler, great to have Dan Butler back in our forward line, Kayla, with Higo. 4 goals on return. First official game in the AFL this year. I had a VFL game back from an injury. Got injured there, was out for 4 weeks and came back last week. So, great to have Dan back, and he provided the pressure and kicking goals, which is great to see Dan do. Isaac Keeler, now, he's a young player for St Kilda. He kicked 3 goals in his 6th game in his career. Is a key forward this week. Can play down back as well on a backup ruck. 3 goals, 10 disposals, but like 6 marks. And like he kicked a goal, 6 touches, and like 4 marks in the first quarter on Stephen May. An All-Australian level caliber defender for a rookie forward. Pretty damn impressive. And considering there wasn't major standouts in the key position stocks this week in terms of goals at least, felt like this was the week he deserved it, because he had a good week on Stephen May, who most people can't beat Stephen May. So to have a young player not destroy him, but like beat him is a pretty fair effort.
Yeah, definitely.
Brody Myercheck kicked 4 goals for the Pies and like 14 disposals, deserves a spot on the team. Luke Jackson, there was no standout ruck for me this week. So he did have 27 disposals. Didn't win the hitouts against Jared Witts, but did a lot around the ground. So I gave him the nod just there. Marcus Winhager, 28 disposals, like 8 clearances, like 20 contested possessions or thereabouts. And he tagged Kosi Pickett, who had 0 impact on the game. The only impact Kosi Pickett had on the game was punching Winhager in the gut. That was the only thing he'd done all game. And, of course, got fined for it, and rightfully damn so. Should have been suspended. Anyway, Dion Prestia, he was really good for the Tigers, and I feel bad for them a little bit, Kayla. They were up by 5 at 3/4 time and blew it, but Prestia was really good, and we'll get to that game shortly. Still side bottom. How good was he? 2 goals, 27 disposals. Just a performance that, you know, he's always been good. But to keep that up at that age is pretty damn impressive. Andrew Brayshaw, a goal and 30 in the wet. Kayla at 80% in the wet when most players are hanging around the 60s. I mean, that gets you a spot on the team. He was pretty darn impressive, if you ask me. Brian Myers, 2 goals and 26 disposals. A lot of metres gained, so he deserves a spot on the side from Geelong. And your 2 Lions, Will Ashcroft, 30 disposals, the quiet achiever, decent efficiency, always impacted when he had the ball, and 30 times on the weekend did really well. And no answer for goal in 20, Kayla. We mentioned him a few times already, but warranted selections.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Ned Long, I did want to fit into this team of the week. I'm a big fan of Ned Long, Kayla. I don't know if you know too much about him. Was at Hawthorn a while back, got delisted, played in the VFL for a year, was picked up the year prior by Collingwood, was in and out a little bit last year, maybe played a handful, maybe 6 games at best. But this year, he's come in after being the sub, I think, in round 1 or 2 or something like that, or opening round. And since then, Kayla, he's proven he belongs at a level. And it was great to see him dominate against his old side Hawthorn, going a bit of a rev up, Kayla, I feel like, for players that get cut by their club and play against them and then perform really well. 24 disposals, 2 goal assists, 12 score involvements. Playing in the midfield that has the Dacos brothers pitching in there. I know Josh is mainly playing half back now, but then you have, side bottom in Pendlebury and players like that push through when they're playing. It's like pretty damn impressive to pull these numbers when you're not playing permanent mid.
Yeah, it is.
So I really wanted to put him in. He was that close. But let's just say maybe no answer of stole his spots. Obviously not like for like. So I just went for the defender. And before people say no, I did not put Noah Answorth in over Ned Long because Kayla was on, being a Brisbane supporter. That's not what I did. I went through every game, and albeit Ned Long's stats may have looked a tad better, but for a defender, I thought that, I probably had to put another defender in. Not that I need to, but I thought his numbers were pretty impressive for a defender. I mean, kicking a goal in 20, having like 8 score involvements or intercept possessions is like, it's hard to ignore. So he just got the nod, but I was mulling over that for a while. So, yeah, then Tom Green was the next choice mid after Ned Long. 1 goal and 30 was really good. His efficiency is probably what kept Greeny out. Nick Dacos did good, but again, his efficiency wasn't great. Now, Kayla, Nick Dacos, he's having a decent year, but it's not. We got to understand though too. He's only like 21, but he didn't have the year so far this year, like impact wise and consistency. Like he's still being solid. Don't get me wrong, but like I reckon he's dropped off a little bit in terms of like his input impacting a bit more than last year.
Yeah, I agree, but for some reason he's still the favourite to win Brownlow.
Yeah, again, we're talking about names get you everything. There you go. Yeah. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve anything he gets. Previous years, absolutely. This year, if he does win the Brownlow, he'll come in the top 3. If we were to stop the season right now, Kayla, he surely cannot be in the top 3. But we know how the game works. It's rigged, so it wouldn't shock me. But realistically, he shouldn't be. If it was to stop right now, Kayla, he's not in the top 3, is he?
No, not at all. There's quite a few names that are above him, that's for sure, even though people will disagree right now. But there's a few names.
Sure. So Bailey Smith, now, I don't know what you think and what you thought of his game if you saw how his stats were. He did have 38 disposals, so people were like, but this is the thing, right? Bailey Smith, I saw a stat on Footy Classified last night, Kayla, where of all midfielders, Kayla, I'm going to put this off the screen to explain this just for a second. So for a guy, right, he had 38 disposals, okay? But I feel like it's one of those games where he accumulated the ball. He had like 18 touches in the first quarter. bit like that game Nick Dacos had. If you remember, and Nick had 18 disposals in the last quarter against North Melbourne, helped them win the game, but had no impact in the first 3 quarters. I feel like, or maybe not no impact, but very minimal. And I thought like Bailey Smith kind of did that a little bit. And with his efficiency, it was at 50-something percent, Kayla, and he had like 10 turnovers. So it was like, look at the other mids you had in. Not saying he wasn't good, but look at the mids I had in. Like, their efficiencies are up. The impact was better. It was more consistent. So in the end of the day, though, now, I wanted to get your thoughts on this, because this is another debate I have with a lot of people online. Impact for games. Like, when people say, like, the inside mids, like, people say the efficiency is always going to be a bit low. Like, it's not going to be the high 80s for, say, a halfback or a winger or something like that. What's your input on efficiency with contested possession players like Bailey Smith and players like that? Do they get a bit of leniency for their efficiency because of the role they play, or how do you put with that? Because I feel like it still needs to be higher than that 50-odd range.
Yeah, that one's really kind of hard. It kind of just depends, really. Yeah, that one's, it's a tricky one. That one's definitely a tricky one.
Yeah, and that's the debate we had last night on one of my off streams. It's like, I didn't have him in, and I told them, I said, I'm not putting him in because he had like 10 turnovers. So if you put that first quarter aside, the other 3 quarters were a bit how you going. So, and to be honest, Geelong almost lost that, and West Coast probably should have won it. Now, people, again, we'll get to that game in a second. People go, 43 points. Watch the game, and it was close. Like I said, Cameron got 4 goals in the last 6 minutes. It was like 12, 15 points with 4 minutes to go. It ends up being 43. So, like, don't tell me it wasn't close. It was. And West Coast had the chances. Noah Long had a shot when it was 7 points with 10 minutes to go to put them a point down. He missed it, and then Geelong went bang, bang, and then that's it, right? So it's a bit how you doing, but that's the way I've gone with that. So no Bailey Smith this week. Comment down below your thoughts on my team of the week and who you would replace them with. Don't just say, he shouldn't be in or he should be in. Tell me why and who, and then maybe I'll have a conversation with said person. Right. Now, Kayla, let's go talk about a topic I want to talk about. Now, Callan Ward, obviously a guy, Kayla, who's had a fantastic career. Obviously started his career at the Bulldogs, an inaugural GWS player. Obviously copped a lot of scrutiny when he left the Bulldogs in the fashion. I think he was their captain at the time, the top man of the Bulldogs, and they weren't happy. It was part of their leadership group, at least anyway, and they were not happy he left. People said, he's gone for the money and everything like that. I mean, any player that went to the GWS or Gold Coast to start their career probably went for money at that level of name. But what a career he's had. Now, people going, why are you saying this? Unfortunately, he done his ACL on the weekend. It was confirmed yesterday. He said at the start of this year, this was very likely going to be his last year anyway. With an ACL injury, obviously, that's his season over. So, unfortunately for Cal Ward, he's been a warrior for the Bulldogs and in particular the Giants. Kayla, unfortunately, it's not official yet about a retirement, but it will likely almost certainly be the end of Cal Ward, a guy who's, you talk about courageous, and his name is summarised with the word courageous.
Yeah, it's very sad. As soon as I saw it and as soon as I saw him crying, I just, was so upset for him. And then I saw the boys all like jumping around him and just them like getting really upset with him. It was, I just knew straight away as soon as I saw him crying, I just knew it was his ACL. And that just really sucks, especially for someone if it's their last year. It's even worse because they now can't play anymore and they're done.
For sure. It's, he's had a great career. Unfortunately, the biggest pain, I reckon, for him on top of this current injury was 2019, Caleb, when they made the grand final against Richmond. Yes, they didn't win. He didn't get to play that year either through an ACL injury. So it was his other knee last time. This year is his other knee. It's a cruel way to go out. But unfortunately, games or careers don't always end the way you want to. And you look at guys that finish with ACL injuries or serious injuries or concussions nowadays, unfortunately. So it's never always a fairy tale ending for everyone, no matter who they are.
Yeah, sure.
Now, I love a bit of trade goss, Kayla, so you can bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to talk about a trade goss. Now, this was raised by Damien Barrett on Friday. I believe it was Friday. Now, for Carlton supporters listening, relax. Don't jump down our throats saying, oh, my God, they're not leaving. I mean, just relax. Damien Barrett has reported on Friday, Kayla. Now, I want your thoughts on this, considering this could somehow bring up Brisbane in this conversation. So Carlton are open, according to Damien Barrett, to hearing offers for star forward, key forward duo, Harry Mackay and Charlie Curnow. Now, if they are to hear offers, Kayla, you're a club at the top of the premiership table. You're a side that is probably a key forward short. And with Hipwood not playing the best at the moment, it's starting to kind of show a little bit that that's an area that needs to be added. And even when Danaher retired, as you mentioned, it was going to be needed anyway. If the right offer was there, would you consider Charlie Curnow or Harry Mackay?
No.
No!
And that's just purely for the fact that if you actually look at our VFL boys as well, we have some quite good full forwards and that there, like with Ty Gallup and all that. Even though like Ty's not as tall, he's still like a key forward for us. And we really don't need any more. Like we've got so many. Yes, we may not have tools, but we've got so many. And the boys are so inconsistent. They're not like Charlie Curnow has been amazing all these years, and this year has just not been his year. And Ben Mackay, like he's just not consistent. And the Lions, I don't agree. I don't reckon we should even try because we've got that many people that can definitely take like that position, even if it's a smaller key forward. It's fine.
Yeah,
we've managed to do it so far this year, and we're still second on the ladder.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I thought you wouldn't go the other way here, considering the departure of Joey, but fair enough. Brisbane fans, comment down below. Do you agree with Kayla? Do you think she's going crazy or what? No, it's an interesting one. If it came at a cheap price, which it wouldn't, so I'm going to throw a random hypothetical that wouldn't happen. If it came at a cheaper cost, so nowhere near $1 million, but let's be real, it will for anyone that wants them. If they were to let them go, and if they stay, they're clearly on that already, probably. But if it came at a bargain price, like if they say Carlton paid part of the portion, or you just said none of this, no matter what it costs, and if it's a cheaper way, would a cheaper deal or Carlton paying portions of the salary and you giving up better draft picks or vice versa, would that give you a little chance of you'd hear them out or no chance?
No chance. But that's purely for the fact that we've got a good lineup as it is, and if they utilize the VFL boys more, especially some of them that do deserve, like even Will McLaughlin, he deserves to have a spot in the team. Like if you saw what his stats were over on the weekend, he scored quite a few goals. Like we could just utilize them in our forward, and we've got a lot of forwards. I don't see us needing any more. Like, yes, the boys are good, but
yeah. All right, fair enough. I'm actually a bit surprised you went there, but fair enough. I mean, not everyone has to say that they want them, so that's fair enough. Right, let's review the round 8 games. So, I mean, it feels like we've been talking about Brisbane for a little bit, and we actually technically haven't officially gone through it. So, obviously, it was a 18 point. Hang on, was it 18 points? Yes, it was. So, obviously, an 18-point victory, 90-72. As a game as a whole, Kayla, well, I know we talked about McCluggage and Ainsworth and everyone like that did really well. What were some key learning points you took out of this? Because you started red hot and then they came back.
We just need to wake up. Like, we just went to sleep at halftime and that was it. They didn't deserve to win. I feel like Essendon deserved that win. But I don't know what's happening at the moment, but we're either playing 2 quarters or we're playing no quarters or we're playing half quarters. But something needs to change. As much as I love the boys, there's something inconsistent happening. And it'll be good to have Big O back, hopefully this week. Because we definitely have been missing him in the ruck. As much as Darcy Fort's done an amazing job, we definitely need the height of Big O.
Do you feel like with Darcy, you can play them both in the side? Do you feel like, because Darcy has shown a little bit of being able to play as a forward, like he's not your ruck that just like purely is a ruck and that's it. I mean, yes, not the biggest name, and I'm not just saying this because he was your premiership ruck technically, but he's shown he can play out forward, Kelly. He's even in the twos especially, but mainly obviously at AFL because that's the level you want to compare him at. He's shown he's fine in that spot. Like at least for here and there, it's nothing bad, I feel, anyway. Especially gives you another tall option. It might drag a better defender onto him, and it might free up a Rayner or a Logan Morris or someone like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Darcy, I think if he was to play with us in the AFL level, should start as like the forward and like full forward, and then utilize Big O, and then do the swap where Big O goes off the field, and then Darcy has a go.
For sure. But you're talking about Essendon. Nick Martin was really good. Joe Caldwell had an amazing third quarter, and that was probably the quarter that was starting to shit bricks and go, oh God, no, not like this. Of all ways to happen. But credit to Essendon for being in it, and with the players they got out, it's a good thing. Honourable losses is not something you like to go and accept. I'm sure some Essendon people won't accept an honourable loss, and nor should they. But if there's ever a time against the reigning premiers at their home ground, with all these injuries you got, and you've got about 10 key position players out, if they were to be happy with that, I would understand it a bit more than some other honourable losses.
Yeah, no, I agree. Essendon technically should have won. And it was good to even see like Matt Guelphy back, because he obviously has been off for a while as well with injury.
Yeah.
So it was good to see him back on the field, and even playing against like Jackson Pryor from the Lions, and seeing how he came over to the boys and was like talking to them, and because now he's obviously a Bomber. It was good to see that like they still had the connection as well, and Essendon deserved it, but
Well, I mean, as they say, a win's a win, and you just take it and run. Right. Now, this was a bit of a shock to some people in terms of the margin. Collingwood 107, Hawthorn 56. Collingwood by 51 points. Well, Kayla, I've been saying for a while, going to wait for Hawthorn to beat a good side before I can say that they're actually good or will be good in terms of the top four or anything. And, the word frauds has been thrown around lately with Hawthorn. And, I mean, they're not really backing it up. They're not helping their cause here.
No, I honestly backed them, and they let me down.
You did. Oh, no, I was never backing them. I'll wait. When they beat a good team like that, like a Collingwood or a Brisbane or something like that, then we'll start talking. But until then, no, thank you. I think this was a massive win for the Pies. Elliott kicking fives in, going to make the All-Australian at this point. Mycha kicking four. Tim Embry popped up for a few late. And just that midfield. The Dacos brothers were good. Obviously, Ned Long, as I mentioned before, against his old side Hawthorn, he was really good for Hawthorn. There wasn't really any major contributors here for Jack Ginnivan kicking 3 and 31, which is amazing. But outside of that, they didn't bother turning up. It looked like it was just Collingwood playing against themselves at a training drill. Pretty bad for Hawthorn, but they want to bounce back against the Bulldogs this week, Hawthorn, because this is another game, when we get to that game, that if they don't win this, the fraud link to Hawthorn will continue.
Yeah.
So the next game to go through is Gold Coast 64, Freo 75, Freo by 11 points. Jai Amos got a late goal here, Kayla. This could have gone any way. Sam Flanders kicked a few late goals to get them under a goal, and Jai Amos said, thank you very much, I'll take that. And then a few turnovers there. Nick Holman had a turnover which led to this Jai Amos goal. Gold Coast had a few opportunities before that Jai Amos goal when it was 5 points with a couple of minutes to go. Didn't take their few chances, went inside 50, just bounced straight back out. And that was the game. Freo probably deserved to win, but Gold Coast, at least in the last few minutes, Kayla, they had their chances.
Yeah. I was pretty disappointed in the Gold Coast loss. I honestly thought, because they've been pretty good at home, and even away, they've been pretty good considering like the last few years anyway. But I was pretty disappointed, with their loss. I honestly thought they would have won at least just.
It's an interesting one. Now, talk about just the barest of margins, Kayla. GWS 80 beat the Tigers 77, 3-point victory. Now, we're talking about Essendon and an honourable loss. Gee, I feel bad for Richard. I don't know what it is this year. I'm feeling bad for him, at least this year. Probably because I feel like no one expects them to win a game, and then they get so close. It's just gone like that. 33 points up at three-quarter time, 31 or whatever it was, to lose. And they also had a few chances later, be like Gold Coast, but obviously the way the game went was clearly different in the conditions. But I feel bad for them. They were 31 points down, no chance to win by anyone, and fair enough too. They're a young side and GWS are good, and they're playing at home. But the Giants, like Brisbane, they just go, oh, Jesus Christ, we got the win and let's just forget about it. Well, do you have to address this? Because the Giants mainly, they're sort of still rated as a top 4 chance, but considering, I say that, it might sound stupid, but because I don't think there's been many good teams this year consistently, and they're technically not far from the top 4. How do you write the Giants season, Kayla? Because I feel like it's a bit of up and down, a bit of a yo-yo. It's like you got that yo-yo and you're spinning it around. It's up, down, it's all over the place.
Yeah, I'd say a roller coaster for sure. I thought they were going to have a great season considering the heartbreak of loss they had with us just before, in the finals. And then, for them to not have a very good season this year, I was quite shocked. They haven't really even lost any players either. They're all kind of still there. Yes, they're aging a bit, but the likes of Toby Green and all them, I'm still shocked that they're not even having the best considering,
Yeah, for sure. I want to give Richmond their flowers here. To be dominating GWS in Sydney like that, 31 up at 3/4 time. Yes, they choked the lead. I understand that. But if you watch that third quarter, Kayla, they had a few opportunities there. They could have kicked goals, and had they kicked them goals, they could have won this. Because there was a few chances where they missed some basic goals, and they could have had the lead at 50 points at 3/4 time. Then clearly, you're not choking that lead. So I feel like it's a bit disappointing for the Giants. But yeah, they had their chance. The Tigers, unfortunately, they just didn't take it. And the Giants, capitalized there at the very end to keep them in it. Now, the next game to go through, and we'll speed up a little bit on these. So the next game we got is Sydney 41, 131, the Crows, 90 points. Yes, I read that correctly. The Swans have been backing them in, going, no, they've had some close losses where if you turn them on the right side, their ladder position looks far better. Now it's hard to defend them after back-to-back weeks of smashings. And this one was more than a smashing. This was, to describe what Wayne Malera said and quoted from what Sydney were, a rabble. I mean, it's fair to say that's pretty accurate. And he got backlash for it, by the way. So they talk about players wanting to be open, and here's this guy being honest about their individual performance of the opposition, and now people are whinging. He had to apologise, Kayla, for saying that Sydney were a rebel. Sydney didn't make him apologise. The external noise made him apologise for saying what he truly thought, and Sydney didn't even ask him to apologise. They didn't want one because they knew that he was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were bad. I mean, besides maybe Brodie Grundy, who was enormous. He had like 25 touches in 30 years. He was another guy I was considering for the team of the week ruck spot, but I just went against it because Rolly O'Brien his opponent was solid as well, so I went against that. But yeah, Brodie Grundy was fantastic, as was Angus Sheldrick. But the rest of the team, Kayla, did they turn up, or did they forget what time the game was on, or what?
Look, I don't know if they're just going through heartbreak from the grand final, but that was just another grand final loss for them again.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it was. It was terrible. It was really, really bad. Now,
scary how. Yeah.
They want to bounce back. They had a grueling session. Apparently, the wee hours of early Sunday morning, Kayla. I don't know what type of session it was, but some grueling session was described as. So, Dean Cox is not happy with them, and rightfully so. Now, something that was absolutely glorious, which I think you know what game is next. If you go off what game is next on the list, it's my Saints. Flag Saints, are we back? A final, still a chance. We're going to keep a lid on it. We're going to keep a lid on it. It was a great win, Kayla. You'll soon find out. I'll get up and about when we win, and when we lose, I'm not happy. Melbourne, 721, 63. Yes, I read that correctly. To St Kilda, 91. Now, what a win. Backs against the walls, playing in Alice Springs, a ground that Melbourne are familiar with, and we're not. We never travel interstate well at all. To get the win, Kayla, and kick 6 goals to 1, or 6 goals to 2 in the first quarter, I think that was the game there. And normally, I wasn't confident at that point, to the point of, you're like, whoa, you should be. You're 4 goals up. The way you're playing is fantastic. And Melbourne are non-existent here. St Kilda always give up a lead and then make you nervous. So we didn't give up a lead, but they hung around the 20-point range. And I'm never confident, Kayla, until that bloody siren goes at the end of the game, because I never want to get ahead of myself. I'm like, okay, relax. They could still do what they've done in the past and give up a lead and make you nervous and start sweating and everything like that. Melbourne, yes, they peppered the goals, but we earned this victory. If people watch the game, our pressure is what led to a lot of Melbourne's 21 behinds. Yes, they kicked inaccurately, but people got to look at where Melbourne were missing. Like, you know, you're in the pack, right? The ball falls out, the player just kicks it, kicks it, and hopes for the best. There was a lot of that. A lot of their set shots were like 40, 50 out on the boundary, like the flank area. So, yes, they can get them, but they're not 100% going in. Like, they didn't miss ones out in the goal square. If people want to bring up incidents in the goal square, one of our goals was floating in the goal square from Mason Wood, and Keeler dropped it on the goal line. It was going through the goals. So that's what a basic one miss. So we deserved the win. We definitely played way better. I was really happy with how we went. Windy tagging Kosi, as I mentioned before, was awesome. He owned him. He still got him in his back pocket. Cal Wilkie killed it. It was really sad seeing my mate Mateus Filippo, all aboard the Filippo train still. Unfortunately, hurt his calf in an innocuous incident, Kayla. He was just running or jogging, and then boom, went off. It was hobbled and went off and didn't come back. And that was in the first 4 minutes of the game. The St Kilda have just put their injury report while we're speaking. They said they'll reassess after the bye, as we've got the bye this week. So Ross did say after the game the doctors are pretty confident he should play the Bulldogs game, which is our next game next week on a Thursday. So at least it's not a long-term thing, but it's disappointing. And Jack Carroll played his first game coming across from Carlton, had 11 disposals, 6 score involvements, and 2 goal assists. Pretty good debut or club debut for Jack Carroll. And just really happy with the win, Kayla. What did you take of this game?
Yeah, no, I was actually shocked. Like, I had Melbourne, but that was purely for how their form has been compared to Saints. But yeah, no, it's a good win for the Saints, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Very, very up and about from that. As you can kind of tell, pre-streaming now. And yeah, very up and about. Great to get the win. But in typical Saints fashion, what do I say the Saints do? They get you so excited one week, and then your next game, you'll go confident no matter who. It's going, oh, we just beat them. We won in to stay. We had a great win. Next week's just going to happen. Oh, no, it doesn't. We normally get slaughtered the next freaking week, no matter who it is, or just lose, or you play someone shit, and you go, oh, well, we beat them, so we're going to beat them, and then don't, like West Coast. So I'm just going to keep a lid on it. But it's a great win. Now, yeah, this next game, the final game we go through, was 43 points. But it was far from that if you watch the game. West Coast 73, Geelong 116. Kayla, what do you take of this game? I mentioned this multiple times already. I think West Coast were in this. 7 points with 10 minutes to go, 12 minutes to go, when Noah Long has a shot, misses it, 6 points, bang, bang, see you later. Then 4 Jeremy Cameron cheap goals in the last 5 minutes. How do you assess this game? And I feel like West Coast, not too dissimilar to Richmond, against a side they weren't expected to win, they almost got it. A few little things go their way. With umpiring decisions again. Geelong are the most protected club in the competition. That still exists. But yeah, pretty solid effort, I think, from the Eagles. Not amazing, but pretty solid.
Yeah, no, Eagles were definitely in it. And then, yeah, Geelong just put the icing on the cake in the end. But yeah, but Eagles, they're growing, they're getting there. And Eagles fans, if you're listening, yeah, you'll get there.
Yeah, and one little side note to wrap up this review of the round. Actually, why does it say round 8? I've just realised this the whole time. Did you not notice I had it on round 8? I had it on round 8 the whole time. Okay. See, now it's round 12. Okay, there we go. See, because I done my V for W show last night, and that was round 8. So, that's why. But I changed it before. I don't know why it went back. Stupid stream. But anyway, yeah. So one little side note for Andrew McWalter, Mini McWalter, former Saint. Can you please, for the love of God, stop screwing up with my Supercoach team? My rookies, Bo Allen, sub again. Tom Gross, dropped. Ryan Marrick, subbed out. And this has happened a lot of times throughout the year with those 3. Can you stop screwing with my team? You're ruining people's Supercoach. And we've had enough. And Bo Allen showed more in 10 minutes than some players have been playing all year. So Mini McWalter, Andrew McWalter, please play them permanently. No sub off bullshit. Play them in the AFL each and every week. And don't put the sub vest on them, please. Now, speaking of the sub vest, it's a little pain in the ass for some people, Kayla. The sub rule. I don't mind it for what it is sometimes, but should they just scrap it and just make it 5 on the bench?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's not fair, especially if they name it as like a debut like
Yes,
person
that I don't
and then
like.
their sub. That's rough. Like their parents are coming to watch them and they may only get to play 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's a club issue for doing that individual. Now, granted, the AFL have a lot of excuses for things, but for once, this one's not their fault in terms of clubs naming debutants as sub. But why do clubs do that? Like, just don't name them at all if you're going to do that, because it's like you said, it's a moment they want to remember. They're going to be on the bench for the whole game, basically.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's you hope for an injury in a way, which obviously you don't want to hope for injuries, but individually, selfishly, you might be going, well, I want to get on, so I need something to happen just to get a better game time. Now, one topic. Now, don't know what you want to say about this, so you don't have to say anything if you want here. But the AFL have had their problems with Laura Kane and Andrew Dillon. Now, Laura Kane's had her role halved, according to Tom Morris and a few others. So the role's been halved. So basically, the footy operation side of things, so like the tribunal stuff, the umpiring, everything like that, she's still going to be like running the state league competition, so and the AFLW comps and the rules and stuff like that. But in terms of like the tribunals, the suspensions, her rules, her job has been halved. Do you feel this is the right call? Because she was one of two people with Andrew Dillon that aren't doing great at the moment in their roles that they had prior to this announcement.
Yeah, this one is a very hard topic. Yeah, I'll leave that one at that.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you know, this is look. It's just, I mean, no matter who you are, whether it's Laura Kane or Andrew Dillon, the competition in a whole at the moment, I'll say it if you don't want to say it, well, you would, whatever. I think it's a mess. So I feel like changes need to be made, and this should be one of many changes, including Andrew Dillon as well, that should have their roles changed or put into a different position, because it's a mess at the moment. The tribunal is a joke, the umpiring is a joke, and always has been a joke, and everything needs to be fixed there. So we need that fixed. And congratulations to Greg Swan, who is now taken Laura Kane's original role at the AFL. So well done to Greg Swan, who was at Brisbane as their CEO. Now, Kayla, let's wrap things up with previewing the round 13 games. The graphic is there and is correct. I made sure of it 70 times over this time. So let's go through it, shall we? Now, how did you go in your tipping last week? Do you recall how many you got out of the 7?
I think I got 2 or 3 wrong.
Okay, so you would have got 4 or 5. So not bad. I got Saints right. I unfortunately got Geelong right. I got Gold Coast wrong. I got Brisbane right. I got Collingwood right. I got the Giants right. I tipped Sydney, I believe. So I got 5 out of 7. So not that bad. Pretty solid. But now, all right, let's go through the tips for this week and see if we can get out of 8 this week, Kayla. These bye rounds, Kayla, they've got to go. People hate the buys, and now they've extended it a few more weeks with, yes, everyone only still has 1, but spreaded it out even longer. We hate the buys, so why are they making it worse? Another reason why changes should be made. What do you think of the buy fixture, the structure of the buys? Do you like the buy setup?
It's so confusing. I feel like they should just, it's way too confusing. And like I was looking at it today, I think Lions are in like round 16 or something like that. Like that's crazy.
It goes that far. Yeah. It's ridiculous. That's another one of 50,000 issues the AFL have. Right, the first game this round on Thursday night at Marvel Stadium, 7:30 Victorian time. It's the Bulldogs and Hawthorn. Kayla, where are you heading with this one?
Doggies by, I reckon, 14. I reckon it'll be a close one because Hawks will come back, but Doggies will get the win.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bulldogs by 30. We'll see what happens here. You watch. It'll go down the middle. It'll go between 14 and 30, just to be a troll. Right, Friday night at the Adelaide Oval at 7:40 Victorian time. We've got the Crows and the Lions, Kayla, at the Adelaide Oval. Who are you going here? This is... Oh, actually, shit, I just realised who I'm talking to. Okay, why are Brisbane going to win? I'm thinking in my own head when I'm talking to myself. Then I just realised, oh, yeah, Kayla goes to Brisbane. I've just remembered again, conveniently. Why are Brisbane going to win, or why are you going to go the unthinkable and go the other way?
No. I'm still going for Lions. Even if it's a tie, it does not matter. But I
Yeah.
honestly reckon it's going to be a very close game. I'm going to say Lions by 7 points. I reckon
How
it's
much,
going to be
sorry?
like 7.
7. I thought you said 70. I was going to say, gee, that's not close.
No, 7. I reckon
7.
it will be very close.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. All right. I will go. Oh, gee. I'm going to go Brisbane by 5 points.
Oh, you said Brisbane. We heard it first, guys.
Yeah, I did. I don't think I did that on my actual tipping, though. So, no, I did not say Brisbane because you're here. No, I generally don't know how to go with this one.
Yeah,
If Brisbane play like last week, Adelaide will win. If Brisbane play like they should, they can win this. So, it's which Brisbane's turning up? Not the Essendon one, I hope. Saturday at the MCG at 1:20 Vic time, we have Richmond and Sydney. Now, if Richmond were any chance to beat Sydney, now is the time. They're at home. Can they do it?
Personally, I think they can, but in saying that, because of the spray that Sydney's going to get, has gotten over the weekend, I feel like Swans are going to come out firing. And they've got They've got some good players, and yeah, it's really hard. Like, I'm still 50-50 on who I'm going to go for, but at this rate, I am locking in Sydney. But that's purely for the fact of the embarrassments they've had over the last few weeks, and they know they need to step up.
I mean, I'm not even going to repeat it because everything you said is what I said. Richmond can win it, but I think Sydney will because of the embarrassment they've got 2 weeks and they won't want to lose again. Now, if they do lose this, number one, it'll be finals over. It's probably finals over already for them.
Yeah.
Kayla, if they lose to Richmond off the back of the 2 embarrassing losses in the size of the margins, somehow is Dean Cox's job in scrutiny already?
I think so.
I think it'd definitely have to be mentioned. I don't think they'd sack him. But if these margins and embarrassing losses continue for 99% of the games for the rest of the season, it has to be a thought. Well, I can't remember how long he got, if it was 3 or 4 years, but it's definitely in question. That's for sure. If this keeps up like this, it has to be questioned. So, right, the next game to go through on Saturday is Geelong and Gold Coast, 4:15 Vic time at GMHBA, also known as Shavers Stadium, I call it, because those light towers are shavers. If you look at them properly, if you ever go there, Kayla, or if you have been there before, you'll notice the big shavers they are. So they're shavers. Shavers Stadium. Geelong, Gold Coast, who you got?
I'm going to go Goldie, but that's because they've just had an embarrassing loss over the weekend, and I reckon they're going to come back firing. They have been playing really well, playing out, like, not at home. So I actually reckon they're going to come back and they're just going to scrape the win.
Yeah, I'm going to go Gold Coast because any 50-50 game, I don't have to tip Geelong. I won't. So come on, Gold Coast, get the bloody win. Make me happy. Considering the Saints are not playing, so this is what's going to have to make me happy this week. Come on, Gold Coast. I'm going Gold Coast by 5 points. Due to Rest and Freo beat Geelong and Geelong, so why can't Gold Coast in the form they're in?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, most of the time they're in good form this year, Gold Coast, not all the time. The next game to go through Saturday night in Canberra, not at NG Stadium, at 7:35 Victorian time, Kayla. It's the Giants and the Power. Where are you going here? Again, what Giants turn up. They don't play well in Canberra. They play there a fair bit, but that's the venue they don't win a lot at.
Yeah, I honestly think Giants are going to win because Port just aren't there at the moment. They're not. They haven't turned up, really.
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
How much you got the Giants by?
I reckon 14 points.
14 points. That's I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to the Giants by 40. I think they'll be angry after winning on the weekend, as weird as it sounds, with how they performed. I think they're going to bounce back and do up a number on Poilate and win by 40 points. The 2 Sunday games to go through, shall we? 2 Sunday games. 3:20 in Bunbury, which is in Perth at Hands Oval. 3:20 Victorian time, North Melbourne hosting West Coast. Yes, you hear me correctly. They're playing a game in Perth. up in Bunbury, 3 hours away from Optus Stadium, or 2.5 hours. And North sold home games in Perth. If you remember, they got a 2-year deal or some shit where they're going to do 2 or 3 home games for the next 2 or 3 years, selling it in Perth. And they're that silly. They're doing it against a Perth-based side. And you know what they're doing it for? Money, money, money. Everything's about the bloody money.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Eagles.
You know what? I tipped North, but then...
Did you?
Then that was without looking at what ground it was at. So I might have to go on my tipping things and change. I'm going the Eagles as well. How much are you going by for them by?
Oh, it'll be a close one. They're both kind of in the same sort of form. So I'll just say 2 goals.
Yeah, I'll go the Eagles. To be different, I'll be the Giants by 15. The Eagles by 15. All right. The second last game to go through, it's the MND game on the night before. Carlton and Essendon, 7:20 p.m. Victorian time. Carlton and Essendon. Gee, another one, Kayla. Where the hell is this going? What Essendon's turning up? And Carlton going to turn up at all? Like, it's another one. What the? I don't know.
I'm going to go Essendon because they gave us a run for our money, and I think they're going to be hungry as anything to get the win.
Yeah. How did I know you were going to say that?
Well, they played really well in the last half against us, and yeah, they'll be hungry.
They will. Sure. I'm going Carlton in this one by 10 points. Let's just say, Kayla, I think Harry Mackay and Charlie Kerno are going to have a good game this week.
All right, we've got to see.
Yes, we'll see. What's funny off the back of this conversation, I swear, if they kick 5 each or some shit, and we come back here next time and I say, Kayla, you want to change your mind?
Man, I still won't.
Didn't think so. But again, Essendon got no key defenders. So, I mean, yes, 5 is 5 and 5 is great. But then you could probably come back with, yeah, but they didn't play on anyone decent enough. So, whatever. But anyway, I'm going to come by 15. Right, the last game we go through is on Monday. So, we got the MND game, the freeze game for Neil Danner, 3:20 p.m. on Monday, 3:20 Victorian time at the G, Melbourne and Collingwood. The cause is obviously a great thing, but for the result, Kayla, from a margin point of view in the team, this should be one-sided with the Pies.
Yeah, I just don't get why Pies get all the really good games, like all the prime games they get. So like, yeah, all of them, like the Anzac Day, everything is all the Pies. Like, why can't other teams get it? I know. But look. Yeah, that's
all the AFL care about is money. So the marquee teams, the big teams get it. So this is why we don't get nothing. This is why North get nothing. North are having to sell games in bloody not Tassie. Well, they do that as well, but they're doing it now in Perth. We sold games in New Zealand and China, if you remember. So it's all about the money. That's all they care about. They don't care what we think. As much as they say they do, they don't. It's about the money. But yeah, this is yeah, I understand, but then again, they'll argue Collingwood will pull 80, 90, 100,000 all the time for market games, and a club like us or Melbourne on their own against another lower-ranked side, they'll pull out 30 and then they'll not do anything. But yeah, Collingwood by 50, but for me, I think this will be a cruise walk in the park.
Yeah.
Well, they shock us with the occasion and give up a fight, Melbourne.
Yeah.
So what's your margin for Collingwood?
That happening. Oh, I reckon probably 40.
40. All right. Now, we'll wrap up with this. Now, if anyone knows any AFLW players, any state league players, and I'd like to see them on the podcast in a goal kicking challenge and or interview, please do send me a message and we'll try and get something sorted. Now, Kayla, any words of wisdom or anything you want to leave us with on this show? Anything at all? Plain and simple. Well, Saints ain't playing this week, so I'm not happy. I hate the bye rounds. Get rid of the bye rounds. Now, Kayla, it's been a pleasure having you on again. You've done very well yet again, as expected. Appreciate your feedback that your people have been giving, so that's appreciative very much. So they're probably listening to this, so there's their shout-out, so you're welcome. Kayla, appreciate that very much. And till next time, thank you, and go Saints.
Thanks, Scoops.